Hey, everybody, I'm Captain Tommy Scoble, and you're on the lifeboat. What's happening? That's not clickbait, people. I'm really going to talk about what's wrong with women today. I really am. But I'm going to do a little bit of a roll call here. Tree Hugger, good to see you. Mischief Managed, what's happening? Kristen Melinda, it's always an honor. Sandy Wendy, good to see you. Tree Hugger, Kelly B69. You missed a bunch. You didn't. You just got here. You just think you missed a bunch. Just got here. Plant Freak, how are you? Hashtag pie for Steve. Swallow Christmas. Good to see you. Loki, the SP dog. Glad you're here. So, hopefully everybody slept well. Really cool the number of people who have been popping their heads up and saying in the comment section, I don't comment, I don't participate, but you've talked me into saying hello. Ben Bacon Bits, good to see you. Mr. Turner, how are you? Stacey Sullivan, glad you're here. Tommy Stiggs, good to see you, man. Glad you're here. Tommy is great. So one of your friends checked in yesterday. Cat that knows you. Really, really respectful dude. I was honored, but it's funny how the starts to spread out. You know, the web starts going out all over the place. It's very cool how the whole connection thing starts to spread throughout this entire interweb and YouTube thing. A lot of people are using this for some really foul stuff, but not everybody. Truthfully. I mean, the internet, I used to think was a vast wasteland of just the foulest stuff on all of the planet. And it is. To be sure it is. But there are so many really great people out there that are actually trying to maybe participate a little bit more. You know what I mean? Act like human beings. So I've been reading. I read a lot. But I haven't been lately. I've just been reading nonfiction stuff. But when I was incarcerated, I tried to do a split of about 80-20. So about 80%. Hey, Johnny, about 80% of what I did was nonfiction stuff. I read a lot of biographies. I read a lot of history stuff. And then the other 20% I would read. I tried to do as many classics as possible, right? Because I figured I was going to get out of the joint and I was probably going to be doing a lot of talking. And there are references made throughout society. We say things all the time. Sometimes we don't even know that maybe they came from, the literary world. But there are things that, down the rabbit hole. Right? That's going to be said on CNN today or Fox or whatever 20 times, right? Alice in Wonderland references are made every day. I was reading the Bronte sisters. You guys familiar with the Bronte sisters? I'm sure. Especially because I have a pretty good-sized female audience. I'm sure we've got Bronte fans here. Now, there was an expression that was used in early century literature constantly, and it's no longer used ever in the way that it was intended to be used, which is kind of a bummer. And I was talking with a friend earlier. Well, that's not entirely true. I stay talking all the time, and I don't talk to anybody. I send emails, and I use the word talking kind of ubiquitously to mean that I was communicating with somebody. Lisa Trimble, 14 years sober. How good is that? You know what? 14 years sober. 11 and a half from benzos after all the blood and hospital visits. Dumb way to try to escape. Hey, you're here, right? You're here. It's where you're supposed to be. We stumble. We get up. We dust ourselves off. It is the height, right? Hold on. Here we go. It's what we do. It's how it's supposed to work. You get up, you dust yourself off, you come back. It's the height of what we do. It is honestly, it is the backbone of what we do. The fact that if you stumble, you're not done. Holy hell, right? If a relapse is as big a deal as everybody else makes it, no wonder everybody fails. Holy hell. You got to get up and dust yourself off. Sometimes we're going to fall back to what we know best. Right? That's normal. Nobody should beat themselves up for that, I promise. You were teased in junior high school because your favorite book was Wuthering Heights, and they had a problem with Heathcliff, did they? Huh? And kicking it on Pelliston Crag? Wow, how about that? Huh? I literally just come back with Pelliston Crag and Heathcliff. Anyway, Kathy and Heathcliff, the language changes over time, right? There was a time where we had a vocabulary, honestly, 4 times bigger than we have now. But we don't use words anymore. We don't have to. Now we do it in little bits. We LOL. We don't even bother writing stuff out anymore. But here's a word that used to get used in literature constantly, and you can't use it anymore because it has changed its meaning dramatically, right? But the Bronte sisters used the word ejaculate constantly, and they did it to describe emotion. They did not do it in a sexual term. Somewhere Penthouse Forum got a hold of that word, and it's no longer ever going to be used the same way, which is kind of a bummer. Because you know what? We don't have a word for it. Honestly, what's the other word? What word do we have for when emotion is so real and so cool that it just explodes and you've got zero self-conscious whatever to hold you back, right? Walk by a playground and watch 5 6-year-old girls playing with one another, or 5-year-old girls playing with each other. They explode with emotions. They explode with laughter, right? They're silly. They giggle. They're so much fun. They're so unself-conscious until somebody beats that out of them, right? Until somebody beats it out of them. And then we're never going to see emotion ejaculate ever again, because they got to be a little bit more reserved, right? Because if you laughed out loud, right, somebody might laugh at you. Or if you let your emotions do what they're supposed to do, if you're out there, you're living in the moment, not caring, if you're dancing like Elaine with the entire world watching, but nobody does that. Projectile, yeah. I mean, I did this too, by the way. I went through a bunch of words trying to come up with something but there's not something like that, right? Because that explosion of emotion is just, you could say explosion of emotion, but it's not. If you read the Bronte sisters, I swear to you, the term ejaculate is in probably, if you go every 4th page, you'll come across it. Every 5th page. It's used a lot because, a person it would always be something that was so important they were just going to let that fly. But we don't do that anymore because we're self-conscious to beat hell. And it only takes one guy, right? And it could be a father. That would be the easiest guy, who could tell an 11-year-old or a 5-year-old that they're fat. Okay? Only takes one of those. And then that laughter and all of that explosive stuff, and people that do not care, right? That they start caring. They start looking at every single thing they do because they become so self-conscious that they can't be themselves. Add to that as they're walking down the street struggling with that as a concept, every 7 feet is a picture of a woman who was airbrushed to look a way that God didn't even make her. God didn't make her that way, I promise. And then on top of that, she's starving herself because the 6 idiots that first designed fashion decided that fashion should only be hung on women that weigh 75 pounds. And you know what? Women who weigh 75 pounds are beautiful. So are women who weigh 100 or 110 or 210. It's amazing to me how badly society kicks the hell out of us, right? But sadly, it's happening to women way worse than it's happening to guys. We're not bombarded with imagery of what we're supposed to look like. Honestly, I promise you that the pressure to look a certain way for a man is so much different than the pressure to look a certain way for a woman, right? I'm not trying to stay in shape because I feel like the world is going to judge me if I don't. I'm starting to try to stay in shape because I got some pretty serious issues with my body that I have been told that I am going to live a lot longer if by some chance I'm able to lose some weight. Right? So I could starve, or I could just try to get into some kind of a shape that I'm going to be healthy. Right? And as you get older, guys tend to start doing that. My brother's working like a demon. Watching him over on his channel, you probably see it. Now, this is a great question. What's it like for boys? It's a really interesting question, isn't it? Now, I'm going to do a show called What's Wrong with Guys. So I promise I'm going to do a whole show on this, but I'll touch on this real quick. What's it like growing up being a boy? Well, when you cry, they tell you not to, right? They say toughen it up because boys don't cry. And at some point, someone's going to tell you that boys do not cry, which is the dumbest crap that anyone has ever let come out of their mouth. And boys get destroyed in a completely different way. And by the way, there's a war on boys right now. We know that. But today we're talking about the war on girls because it's happening and it's ugly. It really is. Now, I can take this in a direction that'll make a whole bunch of people unsubscribe. And that's no intention of what I'm trying to do. I'm not here to talk about trans and that. I promise you, I could for 2 weeks because I am an absolute lover of women. I really am. And it bums me out if somebody wins Woman of the Year that maybe wasn't born that way. God bless her, but I think that women don't get enough awards that maybe they should just be able to have them. Maybe make a whole new set of awards, right? But women get paid, like in sports, about 1/100th of what a dude gets paid in sports, right? Advertising, in every aspect, it just seems jacked, right? It doesn't seem fair. So I'm just going to be honest and hell, I'll say it. If I were 16 right now and the world was, I'm just where we are today, but I was 16. And I got to that same point where I realized that I'm not going to win an Olympic medal as a bump skier. It's never going to happen. No chance in hell. I promise you I could have won a gold medal as a woman, though. I promise. And I might have. Just keeping it real. I wasn't a particularly good person. I very well might have said I was a woman for 4 or 5 years. That's the person I was. I very, very well might have done that. Now, am I saying other people are doing that? I don't know. But I'll tell you something. I love women. I really do. And the first woman that ever won a Olympic medal for bump skiing, I knew. Right? She used to train in Killington, Vermont. Her name was Donna. And it would have sucked if somebody else stood on that podium. Women have a very tough time, right? They do, compared to guys. They have a very tough time, just by nature of how it works, right? The biology of this kind of sets something up for potential problems from Jump Street, right? But the sad thing is this. We screw you up. Guys, I promise if there is a woman out there that is struggling, a guy did some wicked damage, right? And then you guys destroy each other after we're done doing our damage. I've never seen friendship between guys like I see it between women. You are terrifying. I'm not kidding. Compliments from guys. Hey, Johnny, you look great in that. Seriously, good looking shirt, man. Where'd you buy that? He says, there's a mall, the outlet thing. Oh, awesome. You look great in it. Women's compliments? You are so courageous. I respect that you're willing to wear that. That's how women give compliments. My God, I wish I could wear something like that. You know, your legs are so muscular. I wish mine were like that. You know, you just look so athletic. Women don't compliment each other. If they do, there's usually some kind of really nasty, passive aggressive. What the hell? I mean it. And you know how I know? Because my whole channel is female. And every once in a while, you guys will begin to argue. And it's frightening to me how different it is between men and women. God, help us. Let's be nice to each other. For real. I'm never going to let that crap fly here. You know that, right? For real. I'm a dude. I got way too much testosterone. The first one of you that says something like that to another woman here, you're never going to be seen again. As much as you need to be here, you're never going to be seen again. We have rules, and I don't go over them in the beginning because we did market research and found out that people don't listen to them. They skip, right? Someone will be kind enough in the comment section to say, go to 1 minute and 10 seconds, and you won't have to watch all that stuff. Rule 4 was mean people suck. I want mean people here, right? So if your compliment to someone is, boy, anyone with legs that thick really should always wear something like that because it makes you look great. Okay, don't be that person. Don't. Really funny thing happens. If you go out of your way to build people up, I say this before, I've said it to people. I don't know how many times I've said it on the boat. I don't lie to people. I don't. And sometimes that's a bummer, right? Because sometimes I will tell you truths that you might not want to hear. But you have to be that person so that when you say to somebody, you look beautiful, they don't think you're saying that to be kind. They think you're saying that because you think they look beautiful, right? But if you BS them on everything else, just like talking to your kids about drugs, if you're a chronic liar, don't throw compliments out you don't believe. Don't do it. You say, Tommy, I like saying nice things to people. Okay, I guarantee you could say something about them that's nice without lying. Tell them you love the color of their nail polish. Tell them that's a fantastic purse, right? Love the shoes. That was a movie reference, by the way. No, maybe it was a blouse. I'm sorry. It was blouse. Love the blouse. Yeah, well, see, here's the thing, though. You know why? Because guys very often, we haven't done a lot for our reputation as men. I promise we haven't. But I hope all of this makes sense. You know what I mean? So we had Plato, right? And we had all of these great thinkers in the past. And then they kind of went away. And then we had a whole new batch of philosophers, right? You had the next batch of thinkers, Jung and Freud. And are there any thinkers today? Is there anybody out there explaining things? Do we have philosophers? I guess Jordan Peterson, probably, right? Bit of a philosopher. Some of the real big time motivational speech guys probably will be in the future. People will say, that person was a philosopher. Trouble is, JP comes to mind. Trouble is, I know a bunch of people who were public speakers who have become very successful motivational speakers, people that I knew. And I'm sorry, they're not philosophers. They're excellent public speakers, but they're not philosophers. They're not deep thinkers. They have a very polished show that they can go and do on stage. And you know what? I'm going to step on some. I love Jordan Peterson. He's one of my favorite people to listen to on earth. But I like listening to Jordan Peterson like I like going to the gym. Okay? It's going to require a lot of effort to get through him. And I'll be honest, 99 out of 100 people don't know what he's saying anyway. You hear 1 out of 40 words. Because honestly, I got a vocabulary that's pretty impressive. And I still got to look up about 14 or 15 words out of every single speech that dude does. And if you don't, you're not going to really get the point of it. And you know what? We could sit and argue. Let's talk about what a bad guy he is, shall we? Huh? Should we talk about whether or not he's a misogynist? Should we talk about what he said about get over it or leave? What do you think of that? Huh? Is that out of control? Am I an ass? We need a little thicker skin, and we need to stop stepping on one each other in, I almost said a word that'd get me canceled, kind of ways. Buck up a little bit, fellas and ladies. Let's be a little kinder to one another. And then let's not be so friggin' thin-skinned that I'm afraid to step on a toe. You realize that what I'd like to talk about, I can't, literally, because you'd bail, all of you, right? And I don't mean all of you, because a third of you would love some of it. A third of you would love the other half. A third of you would love, right? But I'd end up with a very small audience that was an echo chamber. So I put just enough stuff in here that is this close. I'd really love to be able to just tell you the things that I feel. I'd love to be able to be a philosopher. I can't. You guys never allow it. You wouldn't. I mean, maybe I get to 2 million subscribers someday, and then I blow half the audience out. They come out and say, here's what I am. Here's what I think. I mean, I think most of you have the general idea. But you know something? I'll give you a couple more ideas, right? Sadly, people need to be in prison. Right? Do you know how many people send me an email every week and tell me that prisons need to be abolished? That there is no reason whatsoever why we need prisons. We need prisons. I've been to them. Trust me, the people in there need to be in there. A lot of them. Not all of them. Not all of them. Some mistakes get made. But we need prisons. I'll take it a step farther too. Sometimes we need to make disgusting decisions for the good, the greater good. Sometimes we got to do that. Nobody wants to do that because nobody wants to step on anybody's anything. Your freedom is the most important thing in the entire world. It is. I believe that. Your freedom stops at my front door. If your freedom goes by my front door, we have an issue. You understand that? You could be as free as you want in your home. Don't bring it to my home. No? That's why I can block people on my channel. This is my home. No free speech here. The free speech here is this speech. See that? It's free. I can say what I want here. Nobody else can. If you don't like that, you can start a channel. I do what I can to not hurt anybody's feelings, right? I do. I do everything I can to not hurt anybody's feelings. But you know what we're going to do? What we're going to do is we're going to treat one another kindly, even if we don't agree with one another, right? Somebody popped up and left a message, and I hope you're listening. Somebody popped up and left a message, and they said, I'm going to come up and leave a message. I normally don't because you and I disagree on far too much. But I wanted to say that I liked this video. If you and I disagree on far too much, let's talk about it. So I left a message and said, email me with a phone number. Good God, I've always wanted to talk to you. For real. You're articulate and you think you disagree with every single thing that I agree with. I need to talk to you. I don't want you gone from my channel. I want you sitting right here talking to me. Crazy, right? No. I believe that my beliefs will stand up. I have faith in my beliefs, all of them, no matter what one I believe. Because not for nothing, but I had 13 years to think about them, journal about them, write them down, read books about them, see if I was wrong. And sometimes I was way wrong. But I had 13 years to do nothing. And I promise if you had 13 years to do nothing, you could develop a very strong set of beliefs that not too many people are going to rock. And guess what? You could articulate why you believe them. You could debate somebody, which, by the way, isn't screaming over somebody. It's not interrupting somebody. It's letting somebody say everything that they're going to say to you. And you want to hear a shocker? A debate is not meant to convince the person you're talking to that they're wrong. Not at all. A debate is when you listen to what the person says and you go, all right. And then you explain what it is your thought is and how it differs. Not why his is wrong, but how yours differs. Because we don't debate when we're alone. We debate in front of rooms of people. And the people are supposed to just be able to hear both sides and go, I think Tommy might be right. Or, no, I don't think Tommy's right on this one. Instead, we scream over one another, and later we can decide who screamed better or who made the better joke about the size of the other man's penis. Because that's always good, right? There's always a hand joke or a penis joke at a debate. We're so lost. And sadly, the target of a lot of this are people with breasts. For real. Women don't get to do the things that we do, right? Different box. Your box, different than our box. Now, in my box, I could punch a guy if I needed to. It's not a cool thing to do. It could get you in trouble, but it's not wildly out of the realm of possibility for a guy to hit another guy, right? If you watch 100 movies, how many movies do you think are not going to have somebody getting punched in the face in one of them? I would say this is pretty much part of our society, whether we want to admit it or not. Yeah. Am I wrong? Okay, well, it's not really a woman thing. And women will instantly judge if something starts to get physical. Instead, right, as we get older and we start to misbehave, boys beat the crap out of each other. It gets very physical. And you know what's crazy? Then we become friends. Lurch, you heard me talk about him. Got in a fist fight with him. Probably within the first 2 months I knew him. The third member of our little trio was a guy named Jamie. Got in a fist fight. Almost every great friend I have started that way. Guys are different. See, when a fight's over, a guy looks at the other guy and goes, that dude had the, you know what, to stand up against me and throw punches. I may not dig this dude, but I respect him. And respect will be an excellent starting point for a friendship or a relationship. You'd be shocked how much you can build if you start with respect. Now, you get out of prison, you can't go around smacking people to treat you bad, right? You can't. But I'll tell you something. I got way different service when I had hair than when I shaved my head, right? I shave my head and I grow a goatee, and I don't even have to growl. People treat me like I growl anyway, right? Now, put on a t-shirt and you got some green ink hanging out, and almost everybody you meet kind of assumes that maybe you did a little time. It's messed up. But guys are treated differently than women. People, whether it's a guy doing it to a woman or a woman doing it to a woman, they will treat a woman with less respect than they will treat a man. Women do it to each other. I watch it. I watch it every single day. And it's more disturbing if you have even any shred of being known by people, right? Because I promise you, like you show up and all of a sudden you're treated not just different, but a little bit better. You will notice how people not being treated well around you really sticks out like Wednesday in the middle of the week. I think you guys should be able to go wherever you want and scream at each other and do whatever you'd like. You can give comments like, boy, you really look great in that sweater with a chest that small. It's amazing, right? You can do that. It makes you happy. Knock it out. Right? Pick on each other for your age, right? Do all of that backstabbing stuff. Don't do it here. Don't do it here. Not going to happen. It isn't. You know what I want to say for real? I would like to see a place where people can show up and ejaculate. For real, with whatever emotion is getting, with no hesitation of how I'm going to be judged about it. Right? Perfect example. I want to discuss whether or not philosophers exist, right? There's a woman that's going to call me a friggin' misogynist if I bring up Jordan Peterson's name. Sorry, but it's the truth. Man, maybe we can have a conversation and just treat each other, right? Maybe I bring up somebody and the guy's the biggest scumbag that ever walked the planet. Maybe he really is, right? Number one, I hope you researched it ad nauseum because I did. So when we sit down to have our conversation, bring your A game. Because I don't debate on emotion. I debate on fact. I debate on research. I debate on statistics, preferably not the 33% of statistics that are made up on the spot. I would enjoy sitting down and having conversations with Bill Clinton. I promise you, there's only about 3 people on planet Earth I'd like to punch in the face more than Bill Clinton, because I think he's a pederast. No. And we know that he SA'd a woman, right? We know the detail. Right? He settled out of court. Remember that? And we know all about him. I'd like to punch that cat in the face as hard as I could, but I would love to sit across from him and have a 2 or 3 hour conversation first. And I promise you I could keep it civil. Doesn't mean I wouldn't like to smack him. Unfortunately, we have gotten to a point where, keep it real, people. If you tell me otherwise, you're lying. Have you eliminated all of the things that annoy you in life, right? Or a lot of them? We just block things now. And we just keep paring down. And pretty soon you hang out with people who are your religion, but only if they sing modern rock songs, right? At the service, right? Can't even be just your religion. You got to pare that down a little bit further, right? I'm a Christian. Do you realize people send me emails because they're angry that I'm pre-trib or post-trib? Oh, guess what? Good God, get over it. These are people that are all supposed to believe in the same God, and they can't get along. We're an amazing friggin' society. Yeah, Barbie, you know what? I like listening to anybody that forces me to get a dictionary while I listen to them. But what I was going to say about Jordan earlier is I don't think he's as deep a thinker as a lot of people think he is. I think the guy's sharp as hell. I'm not bad mouthing the dude. I'm not. But I don't think he's as sharp as everybody thinks he is. What he has is a honking vocabulary. And that vocabulary is very specified to what he has studied. And he has studied what he has studied more than the next guy. But I think that when you run into really deep thinkers, the philosophers of old, no matter what you were talking about, right? If you got outside of their wheelhouse, then things tend to get a little bit differently, you know. But I don't think, yeah, it's a bit superficial for a philosopher, and yeah, he's in his niche. But the point is, do you honestly know why he's hated more than anybody? Because he empowered young white men. He did. And this is not a popular thing these days because young white men have a target on their back. Just keep it real. And I'm not even, but it's the truth. Just like women have a target on their back, so do white men. Why? Because we have to segment this a little bit smaller. We divided everybody in half, but that wasn't good enough. We need women-hating men. We got the lowest birth rate in history. Do you know that? In history, the people who are real thinkers are saying that the earth is not going to die from overpopulation. It's going to die from underpopulation. No joke. Do a little research on it. This is esoteric and boring and whatever. But if you don't have 1.7 kids or higher, there's nobody to buy the products and services that you manufacture, right? That's why 89% of what everything made in China has to be sold outside of China because there's no Chinese to buy it. There aren't. Chinese don't let their people reproduce. That was a problem because there's no new people to buy new product. And when they did reproduce, they were very fond of boys. They didn't let girls come out. Well, that's hard for the next reproductive cycle, isn't it? So we're not having enough kids, which is not odd because men and women hate each other. Right? They do. We don't get along. It's an industry. Women are from Mars, men are idiots, whatever. It's an industry, right? How many people this week are going to go to a marriage counseling weekend where somebody's going to try to talk to them about maybe better forms of communication? It's an industry, and it should be. It should be. Or we could learn at a very young age to actually listen to one another and to not pick on one another. Oh, Amy, come on here and talk to me, please. Amy, send me an email with your phone number. I want you to come on. I want you to come on. Of course, white men have all of the power in our society. No question. But you couldn't tell me who the white men that are running it are, could you? Tell me who those white men are. For real. Tell me who the white men are that are running our society, Amy. I want their names. I do. I want their names. And what do we do? Honestly, this is a debate I'd like to have. Do we get rid of them? Where do we go? What do we do with these white men who are running our society? Do we get rid of them? Do we? Huh? Because we're allowed to pick on them now completely. It's okay. We are the only group that you can come out and say whatever you want. Nobody cares. And white women too. Horrendous. Karens. You guys are Karens. If I started calling black women Letitias, can you have any idea what would happen to me? But it's okay because reverse racism or reverse discrimination is cool. It's all right. It's not all right with me. But you know what? I don't hate black people. I don't. My best friend on planet Earth is a black man. The only reason I'm here talking to you and putting up with frustration from emails who tell me I'm racist or who tell me I'm a Republican or a Democrat or a scumbag, you know, I do this because I want to get a black man out of prison. I'm not racist, but every day somebody calls me one. Every day I get an email from someone that calls me a racist who obviously has not watched a lot of The Lifeboat. Right? Obviously hasn't caught a lot of the boat. I guess they don't know what the Q stood for, right? I honestly, no joke, had an email from some genius who lectured me for 45 minutes on QAnon because that's what they got out of the cues you all were putting on your. Now, guess what? That jackass is going to tell a jackass, and there's someone out there right now who says Tommy Scoville is part of that whole thing. Right? Doesn't take much. But I will keep coming out here and I will keep doing this because I want to get a black man out of prison. The connection thing's huge. It is. I didn't learn about it until recently. That was an evolution of this. I am coming to the grip of how important it is that we all connect with one another. It's important. It really is. It's important. So if you think white men are the bane of existence and they're scum and that we need to get rid of them, or you want to explain to me what the heck? I mean, because honestly, of course, white men have run society. There's a fact. Okay. Gold runs about $1,700 an ounce. Another fact. Neither of those things, though, are helping move this discussion forward. Sorry. Nick, I can't tell if it's a hate email until I start reading it, brother. Right? Could be somebody that tells me that they're planning on removing themselves from the planet because of the amount of heroin they're doing. The haters aren't kind enough to say this is a hate email in the title. Know what I mean? John, who are the white men that run Washington? They do. I agree with you. I just want to know who they are. For real. Because they're not who we elected. I don't think you're dumb enough to believe that. So who are they? Because I'd like to know who they are. It's for real. Because we're catching crap for it. I have a penis and I'm white. So I have to put up with what they do. I'd like to know who they are. I feel like if they're going to destroy our reputation, I should at least know who they are. Maybe I'm wrong. It's not about hate. It's about blame. It's about blame, right? We don't need to hate them. We just need to blame them. Society has been ruined by the white men who did it. I just want to know who they are. We don't know their names, but we can blame them and we can for sure tell you their skin color, right? To be sure. And we can extrapolate then that if I look like this, I'm part of the problem, yeah? Ipso facto, you're a white male, especially if you're right around 50, you're part of the problem, yeah? I'll tell you what's amazing. It was a white man that caused my problems. I promise. My problem was caused by a white man. This white man. Everything I did to myself. Right? Great parents. Right? My siblings turned out fine. What I did to myself. By the way, I have been crapping on everybody in government since the day I started this channel. But it doesn't stop anybody from somehow thinking because I'm a white man, I'm part of the problem. For real. And it's popular. Right? It's popular. Drives up your subscriber count. I could come out here and join the fray for real. For real. I'd come out here and start talking the other direction and the algorithm will spike me like a football. You will not believe what they will do. I just got to pretend to be something I'm not. Promise. Tell you something else for a guy that's not that freaking bright. You got no idea how much time I've spent looking at this algo. And I'm telling you, it's not as complex as people think it is. I'm going to do a show on it. It's not, especially if you explain it correctly. It's not as complex as people think it is. It's actually pretty freaking understandable. Thank you, Nick. See this? Every once in a while, you get a thinker. That or a woman is a thinker. Could be a Nicole. I shouldn't always assume, especially on this boat. I should probably assume the other way. I had to say sorry to a grocery guy yesterday because I asked if they made 1 pound hamburger anymore after 3 times of none being there. Sometimes we don't get what we want, so we try being nice. It's been known to work. It has been known to work. It really has. It's pardon my frustration. I really do love all of you. I swear to God, I do. But my God, what a weird way to make a living. I mean, for real, if you're sober, this is a weird way to make a living. But if you've been a drug addict your entire life, you've never, ever, ever done a drug, this is a weird way to make a living. But if you've been a drug addict your entire life, this is a bizarre way to make a living. It really is. Because it's hysterically funny. Everything we in normal, you guys don't ejaculate because the entire world is going to judge you as they sit and look at you. And you're in a group of 5 people, right? Yeah, you have mad respect for people who come out and show their personality and their character. I'm not talking about me, right? I'm talking about other people who let it all hang out. My past isn't, I mean, it's not sob stuff. It's not. But watching people come on and talk about what their parents did to them, right? Doing an interview with Reese, the courage that it takes for people to come on and show those things. Russ did one. There are people that have come on here that have showed courage on levels that you just can't believe. And they do it not to get views, but they honestly do it because they want the world to be a better place. Russ said to me, if one person hears this and then has the guts to say, this happened to me, then it was worth it. I got more respect for that than I can articulate. Honestly. That box I was talking about, as bizarre as this is going to sound, essay is harder in one box than the other. It is the hardest thing in the entire world in both boxes. But for a dude to be able to come out and talk about it is because of the box guys are painted in. Right? Courage. Courage to discuss things. Courage to bring up subjects that people aren't going to like. Listen carefully before I say this. Please listen carefully before I say this. Don't, I'm not being funny, don't put up a super chat and don't put up $1 of any kind. But at 43 minutes, if nothing has happened financially, I'm either doing something wildly right or I'm doing something wildly wrong. Right? Every time. And then you sit and go, ooh, which way am I doing? I'm done. I'm not doing that anymore. Not doing that anymore. Now I'm going to not look and I'm not going to care. Because you know what? I think I'm a philosopher. Might not be a good one. But I think I'm a philosopher. That's what I think I am. I'd like everybody to get sober. I really would. I don't want to see people live in pain. And I do believe that connection is the key to everything on planet Earth. But you know what? There is nothing I don't have an opinion on. Nothing. And I have spent 13 years honing those opinions. And you know what? I think whether they're right or wrong, I can articulate why I think they're right. And I don't know too many people who can articulate their side anymore. I don't know too many people that want to. They just want to tell you you're wrong. They sure as hell don't want to sit and tell you why you're wrong. You know why? Because they don't know. You're wrong because their friend agrees that you're wrong. Right? Go look at what we're doing to our kids with those other platforms. I get your kid to vote for Mickey Mouse if you let me run that platform. It's unbelievable. It really is. I'm going to do a feel-good show at some point today, people. I promise. I promise. And to be really honest, the sad thing is, this should have been one. I promise you, this wasn't the show I lined out. This isn't the show that I lined out. I had a very different show to do. I'll have to do it again, I guess. I'll have to do it again. And the crazy thing is, check this out. Watch this. Do you know what? Now I can't see any of you. I'm blind. You could be putting up $400 super chats, or you could be telling me I'm the worst piece of crap on planet Earth. I can't see it. Sadly, people, the day is coming where this is how we're going to have to do the lifeboat. It is. It's not today, but that day's coming. And the reason that you hang out here isn't because I'm a genius. It's because we have interaction and we have some kind of a relationship that we built. But it will come to an end. And that's a bummer. This is important. I could use a good feel-good show. Yeah. Yeah, I apologize. I really do. I really do. I could use a good feel-good show too. I could use a bong hit and a line of cocaine. I desperately need advice before next week. I started Suboxone last Saturday. No more Fent. No more Fent patches. I'm scared and do not trust new doctors. I don't blame you. Pain in the back, especially legs, is worse. Had shot in the spine last. When you said you had a shot in the spine last, I think you mean like you had a steroid injection in the back, that kind of thing. People always say they use the name of a steroid that no one, cortisone shot. They haven't used cortisone in forever, but people still say cortisone. But is that what you mean by you had a shot, WP? Here's the thing with Suboxone. I have put steroid. Yeah, okay. I have put more people on Suboxone, helped more people get on Suboxone than anybody you're ever going to meet. Right? I cannot begin to tell you the number of people that I have helped get on Suboxone. And they all experience exactly what you're going through. I know that doesn't make you feel better, but I promise you, I did this. Russ did this. Anybody that has ever taken Suboxone has done exactly what you're doing, because the concept of going from I understand this to what the hell is this for an addict is the most frightening thing in the entire world. It is a lifesaver, right? I'm not here talking to you without it. I promise. And my habit was epic. Well, then reach out to me, then, because if it's more than that, then we probably don't want to do this way, because there'll be a 40-second delay between each of our responses. Send me an email with your name, right, in the subject box, and I will get back and answer your questions. Because if we do it this way, hun, I would, you know what? Screw everybody. Fire your next question. We'll do this. Don't worry about it. We'll do it this way. Put up your next question. In the meantime, we'll just talk. Because you know what? I don't care. Let's do this. Let's get this done. This is more important. I came for the conversation in company. It always gives me at least one word to look up and at least one new thing to ponder. Cooking with Grandma, I'm glad you're here. Layla, glad that you're here. Doc, how are you? Awakened by the Looking Glass. Always a pleasure. Love that avatar. It's my friend, or my friend. I just probably didn't know that. And yeah, WP, you're going to find that it's nice to know a bunch of people who have been through this. There are a lot of people. Brianna, I'm going to talk to you. I don't want you talking to me. And it's not you. It's not you. But what happens is I have no problem not looking at something a troll puts up there. My wrenches will get rid of it. But the people who like me, right, who put comments up that are very similar to the compliments women give one another, right? It's a type of trolling that isn't trolling. It's just one of those comments that you throw out that says, you know what, Tommy, you're kind of a misogynist. You pretend you like chicks, but you're kind of a misogynist. And a little like backhanded kind of shitty comment will be thrown out there just to kind of poke me a little. I go to QuickMD as well. Now, I've had one bad experience with QuickMD. I'm telling you, I came on here and I talked about it. I had one bad experience with QuickMD. I am chalking it up to one bad doctor. I wrote to them and I told them what happened. And they got back to me fast. And they said, this is the lion's share of what we do. Like, they were very open that Suboxone is the what's making them famous and making them the most money. And they said, and we do not put up with anybody that treats anybody who comes in here for anything differently than anyone else who comes in here for anything else. And you know what? That's a pretty good response. It really is. Like, I don't care why you're here. That guy shouldn't have treated you differently if it was Suboxone or if it was insulin. I don't care. But they're good. They really are. And I've been with them a long time. I've probably seen them 21 times, something like that. Seen them a lot. You know, I got to go, and I've had one bad experience. Serious back problems, out 198 when I have 2 insurances. Yeah. Reach out to me on that too. Here's the thing with Suboxone. You should be paying less for Suboxone than you are. That's almost everybody. And so many times somebody has reached out to me and said that, thank you, Doc. And thank you, Ben. I appreciate you, man. The Suboxone thing, the number of people who have found QuickMD to be nothing shy of a miracle, right? Life-changing. If you've never seen the interview that I did, Shannon Smith, it's not that chat is ruining my show. 5 or 6 jackasses are running my show, and they will continue to do so. And then 5 new jackasses will come in. And it's the nature of doing live stuff. And you know what? When my brain was fine, I'd shred the jackass and keep talking about what I'm talking about. But my brain's not fine anymore. And as a speaker who doesn't use any notes and hasn't in his entire life, right? Leaving your subject matter and coming back to it was something that as a kid was fun. Now it's panic. And when you start panicking as a speaker, speaking isn't fun anymore. I can sit here and talk and have a good time. I'm able to come out here, hang out with you guys and have a good time. But the only way that that happens is if I talk about stuff that is just so in your wheelhouse that none of you are going to experience any discomfort. And if that's what you want, this is the wrong channel. This is the discomfort channel. You're not going to learn about other people. You're not going to learn how to respect people that are so far outside the realm of what is normal, right? So the people at other channels, you know the one I'm talking about? I did a video, said, how do you show a 13-year-old girl's nipples? Remember that video? Okay. They like to highlight people who are struggling, right? They want to put the camera somewhere where someone's bleeding to death. That's not the lifeboat, right? We would drop the camera and see if we could help the person. Now, that doesn't make you as much money. It doesn't. But we do a different kind of content. And if I'm talking about something that everybody is happy with, then the comment section is a ball. God for friggin' bid, I challenge you guys. Then 2 of you are just going to start doing that passive aggressive crap, or 4 of you, and it just starts getting to the point where you go, you know what? Why do I do this? So I don't have to stop. I can go like this and you disappear. And then in the last 15 minutes of my show, I can pop you back up and go, Jen, how you doing? Good to see you. Brianna, how are you? And that's, you know what? We used to do shows that way. They're not as much fun. They're not. I promise you, I get a lot more done. I sound way more like a speaker. Right? Lisa, you wouldn't. I promise you wouldn't. James, how are you? You have missed your last 3 months of Sublocade, and you're not having any withdrawal whatsoever. The ejection comes out so slowly. 20 years on, Butte. Good for you, man. You are 90 days off Sublocade. So you're done. I mean, I promise you, you know it's gone. You're not, that's over. You're not, there's not Sublocade still bleeding out. If you're 90 days off, there's nothing left, bro. I promise. Congratulations, you're sober. Clean and sober with nothing in there. I promise. 90 days since your last shot? No, that's gone. The Sublocade will not be bleeding out after 90 days. That's about the window, but there's no way. That's awesome. How cool is that? Huh? How cool is that? That's, you know, I have not done Sublocade. I have not, but so many people are just over the top. Lisa, let me try to explain. And I'll try this one more time for everybody else. They're not putting Tommy, you're a scumbag. They're putting something, and I could do it. I could do it in anybody's chat too, especially if you, it's a kind of trolling. You could read the comments and never have any idea that anyone's trolling you. What it is a comment that says, I can't believe you're talking about this. And they do it in a way that's just, oh, I would never, right? And that kind of crap, I promise, you won't see it. the speaker will see it. Because as I'm talking to you, I'm watching this big, your comments rolling up, in case somebody says, Suboxone isn't working and I'm thinking of going to do some fentanyl. Or I'm tired of doing fentanyl and I would like to do some Suboxone. Or I haven't done a Sublocade shot in 90 days and I'm clean. It's nice to be able to find those things as you're going. It really is. And you're gonna be looking for people who say stuff like, Tommy's a jackass. I don't even know why. Right? Suboxone is a drug that was made by a guy named John Lewis. Well, actually, buprenorphine was a drug that was discovered by a guy named John Lewis. And then this drug, which was a painkiller intended to be used for women giving birth that could not take morphine. Trouble is, it's not a great painkiller for birth. It's a good painkiller. It is. Not a great painkiller for birth. Fentanyl is a great painkiller for birth. And that's why it is what is in your epidural, right? But they decided they would put it on a shelf. And then when the opioid crisis really started to get out of control, they realized that buprenorphine takes a very long time to go out of your system. It's not technically an opiate. It is an antagonist and an agonist, right? So it does two things. It makes your body believe that it has done heroin, fentanyl, whatever. It does this by attaching itself to the same receptor that heroin would attach to, the mu receptor. By attaching to that, the drug comes in, the key can't go in the lock to turn the switch to make you high, right? Now, on the other side of it, it starts to drip, literally like putting the faucet on so that the pipes don't freeze. You're not letting the water run, but you're letting it drip. And it's just enough that if you're a heroin addict, you ain't feeling it. I promise. If you're a fentanyl addict, you're not feeling it. But it's just enough that you have relief so that you don't ever get the desire to use. Now, you're not wasted. You don't feel a buzz, but you have zero desire to use. They added to it a drug called Narcan. That's the name brand. Naloxone? Not naloxone is the, Naloxone is the chemical name. Narcan is the name brand. It is the antidote that you give to somebody who overdoses. They added it at a ratio of 2 milligrams to every 8, right? So 2 to 1, buprenorphine to Narcan. And in that ratio, it does naloxone. Thank you, Kristen. In that ratio, what it does is it does two things. One, it blocks the bioavailability of the drug in higher doses. So what does that mean? Well, it means if you were to take 6 or 7 strips at once, the amount of Narcan that you're taking with it is going to make it so that they don't do much, if anything. Kind of genius. It also makes it so that everybody in the room who's a junkie probably has a little Narcan in their pocket, because most junkies have 1 strip of Suboxone that they keep in their wallet just in case they wind up somewhere where there's no chance of getting any dope. But if you were to take that and put it under someone's tongue, the Narcan's going to get into their system. And as you're trying to do CPR and smacking them around, the Narcan's going to do what it's supposed to, which is kick all other opiates off of that mu receptor where it's attached to. Knocks them all off. So what Suboxone does is it helps people not do opioids. Doesn't help them not do anything else. It's not going to treat your coke problem, your meth problem, or any of that crap. Back in Allendale, we used to snort Suboxone. A little drop of water on that orange spoon and a little sliver, and it would get you high. I'm betting you're not a heroin addict, or you spent a long time not doing any heroin. Because if you are not someone who has ever done Suboxone, you could take a strip, which is about that big, right? They're not very large. It'd be about that size. It's rectangular in shape. They can fit under a postage stamp. Give you an idea, rectangular in shape. They cut them into 32 pieces, and they sell 32 pieces, right, individually in prison. And those 32 pieces will get everybody that did it wildly high. They will nod out and act like heroin addicts unless they're heroin addicts. and then it's not going to do a whole lot. Or if it does, it will do a whole lot the first time they do it. The next time they do it isn't going to do anything. The new mixtures like Fetty and Shrink and Xylazine make it so that you need like 4 Narcan doses if you're lucky. If you're lucky, right? There are stories of people that have had 12. And by the way, not successful. Shannon Smith, are you a heroin addict? I'm curious. The 1/32nd, which is, I assure you, a very, very small piece. In fact, it's so small that I couldn't see it without glasses. Right? And that is the dose that they sell it at in prison. And every minute of every day, there's somebody looking on the ground with a flashlight with 4 other guys because they just dropped that eyelash-sized piece of drug on the ground. And the vast majority of the people that I saw who did it in prison did it with needles. They were injecting it, which is not the most effective way to get that drug into your system, I promise you, but they want to feel it. They want to feel it. They want to feel the prick, the jab, the breaking of the skin. And I promise you, if you're not a heroin addict, if you've never been addicted to opioids, or if you took 10 years off, 5 years off from doing any opioids, the first time you do Suboxone will wreck you. It is a very strong drug. If you have a 7 gram a day heroin habit, it's not going to do a damn thing. Debbie P isn't going to feel it. I mean, going from fat patches to Suboxone, you're going to feel nothing. In fact, the problem that I get every time is people will call me and they get very frustrated that they feel nothing. Oh, you know what? Here you go. This is such a great example. It really is. I'm sorry. It's such a great example. No, sir. I'm sorry, sir. See, this is what I'm talking about. Right? I needed he's telling me that I'm not a nice person and that he's scared and I've scared the entire crowd. That's what this is. And if you don't read it that way, then guess what? Tommy's a sick guy who shouldn't have a channel anymore. I'm willing to chalk that up. What do you think of that? I'm willing to chalk that up. But the apologies and the stuff like that, these are the kind of stuff that maybe I just shouldn't have a channel anymore, people. I think that maybe that's it. Not even being funny. Maybe I just have gotten to that point where the damage is too far gone. There's a cat in a basket. I really do love talking to 99.9% of you most of the time. I do. But that 1%, have a great day.